What is up, y'all? So anyways, my Japanese stylings. So as usual, it's psychospiritual stuff to digest. And I would like to talk about meditation, of course. And in my latest meditations, which mean today, because I made a video yesterday, and I'm getting stoked that I'm making videos every day for you guys. So my meditations today are such that I'm interacting with Sarah, or Dev, or however you choose to address her. Adule, she's had many pseudonyms over the years. And in these meditations, I am just taking my energy back. I'm simply taking my energy back. It's pretty cool because I have a lot of neutrality towards it. I've meditated a lot, so I have a lot of neutrality or equanimity or even-mindedness in my meditations. So I'm kind of even-minded with regards to her presence. I'm even-minded with regards to her vampirism. I'm even-minded with regards to taking back my energy. I am not repulsed by any of these practices, nor am I attached to any of these practices. I just do what seems to be needed in my meditations, right? So, I want to talk about those meditations at end. Maybe I'll even figure something out about myself. Ho-ho. I did want to say that it's interesting, the balancing act of addressing internal objects, addressing partial souls of other beings, and addressing the differences between those two things. And then applying the non-dual philosophy, of course, to the dilemma, making the dilemma itself illusory. Both and neither nor. So, Sarah, the presence that is Sarah, which is, as I said, it's like I got a fucking woman standing on my fucking back, facing me, naked. And that's about it. And then vampirize my energies, and then maybe hurting me frequently. Trying to damage my self-esteem frequently. So I've told her to fuck off for trying to damage my self-esteem on probably 45 occasions today already. And so again, I don't know why I spaced and left the non-dual approach tangent of thought that I was on there. But to go back to it, so she's also an internal object, this presence that I work with, right? She's the Sarah that I internalized when we were together in one another's presence, true presence as bodies. When she lived with me, or when we lived in Fairfax. And so there's that. But you also must conceive of the situation being such that neither is this presence that I'm dealing with, Sarah, as an internalized object, nor is it a soul parcel. It is, in fact, a true mystery. And so, yeah, I'd like to discuss that in order to embrace non-duality, you must also embrace the true mystery of it all, right? Because anytime you apply the neither nor to your dilemma, you're contemplating the mystery. So, and it's interesting. So, I guess to describe it maybe a little more sophisticatedly for those of you who don't have any experience with the practice, it would be, and I'll just use the same example of Sarah. She's, as I say, neither internal object nor soul parcel. So, do that with everything, you know. Especially, my favorite is, you know, it's not a life that you are dying, nor is it a living death. It's neither of those two things. And it's both those things, right? And it's one thing or the other. And it's one thing, yeah, or the other. Om in there. I got an om in me. I can feel it. It's my, that's not psychospiritual stuff to digest. Psychospiritual stuff to digest. So I'll return to my meditations for even today, because that's about all I got for you guys. Because as I said, I made a video for you yesterday. So I have interesting sessions with my clients, but I can't share them for confidentiality's sake, because it rarely involves psychospiritual stuff to digest. When I practice psychotherapy, I'm pretty much I'm just a spiritual guy who practices psychotherapy, but I'm not a spiritual psychotherapist. Unless you present spiritual material to me first, if you see things in a spiritual orientation, then I'm with you. And but if you see things in a corporeal orientation, then I'm with you too. And if you, yeah. So that's the psychology of it. What about the spirituality of it? The spirituality of it is such that I like to see people's gestalts, right? So I see them as whole, and I see them as holy, which for me is a little game that I play with WHOLY, right? Or WHOLLY. And because I believe in holiness, because I'm a spiritualist, and I believe in wholeness because I'm a psychologist, and there you go. And I see them, so I see all people as holy, and then that includes seeing them as all as infinite potential, right? Infinite potential. And that's a very good way to view people, because then you're willing to unify with them, right? Willing to get empathic with them, willing to, and then so long as you keep in mind that the fundamental attribution error is frequently operating in the minds of others. So let's say 95% of the time, we misidentify the source of the cause of another's behavior as their personality and not as the situation. So, people behave, right? 95% of the time, their behavior is governed by the situation they find themselves in. And I say we're all infinite potential, right? 5% of the time, it's actually due to the inherent personality characteristic, their genetic personality, you might say. And but 95% of the time, as human beings, we assume that what's going on with the other person and their behavior has solely to do with their personality and genetic inheritance. And but we're wrong 95% of the time, right? We're wrong 95% of the time. So what's spiritual about that? We put those things together, and again, it's all about generating the will to unify, motherfuckers. Because Without that, you got no empathy. Without that, you got no spirituality. I was telling my friend, my Christian friend Mike, that yeah, I unify with the Creator via unifying with the creation. Like the souls, well, the souls of the created, basically. Michael likes to go to the source, to Yahweh himself directly, and like commune with the Yahweh. But I myself don't prefer. I prefer to go to those that are close to me in my environment, or souls that show up on my front door, basically to commune with me. And through that communion, I grow closer to God because I gain more perspective, right? Because what is God if not great and vast perspective, right? Immanent in creation and transcendent of creation, right? So God is transcendent, basically. If you want to, he transcends all duality, and you can go chill in care. That is neither neither has a beginning, middle, or end in space, nor does it have a beginning, middle, or end in time. So you could say, and of course it's true that neither, it doesn't have a beginning, middle, or end in space or time, in space-time. So you can transcend all things and get there to spirit, right, and chill. But God is inherent in manifestation and all that is, all bodies, all consciousness, and all ecstasy. So, you can find God by looking through a microscope, right? You can find that sense of awe by looking. Like the first time I looked through an electron microscope, I got to choose the subjects of my study with the electron microscope. I was in awe, right? And God is also awe, right? Or love is awe, actually, not God, but awe implies some level of fear, and God, there's no fear in care, or at least no fear in Buddha, or in communion with the Holy Spirit in the Christian denominations. Alright, another 12-minute video. Hope you're doing really well. Hope the message finds you well. Buy a fucking boat, please. Later, guys and gals.